Gene Hackman never took his secrets to a quiet grave of closed parties or whispered blood-exchanging contracts. Instead, he collected names that glimmered at the very peak of glory, like Tom Cruze, Clint Eastwood, and even those untouchable icons no one dared to defy. There were no secret handshakes that reeked of gold and death. What mattered was the raw, naked truth that he finally set down with trembling hands. For years, Hackman turned a blind eye to the scandals swirling around him until the day he decided that rumors and wild conspiracy theories would no longer suffice. He began to record the names, not for gossip, but as proof of a hidden history that shattered every last illusion of stardom. This was not about mere idle chatter. It was about exposing the chilling truth that waited for someone brave enough to look it straight in the face. Hackman was not one to dwell on old grudges or dig up the past, except when it came to Clint Eastwood. When the two legends collaborated on Unforgiven, the atmosphere on set was as cold as steel. Hackman portrayed Little Bill Daggett, a prickly, conflicted character demanding every ounce of his acting depth, while Clint, acting as both lead and director, controlled every moment on set with an iron fist. In a moment of brutal honesty, Hackman once told a close colleague, "Clint is just a cowboy who knows how to press the button, not a real director." That single statement became a cornerstone in explaining the icy relationship between these two icons. Hackman's disdain for Clint's cold, rigid filmmaking style was clear. He loathed how Clint reduced an actor's emotions to mere tools for his vision, never allowing any warmth to break through the harsh lighting and editing choices. Filmmaking for Hackman was not just a technical arrangement, it was an art steeped in passion and human feeling. Yet the conflict with Clint ran deeper than simple artistic differences. It was a scar on Hackman's very soul, one he carried deep into his final years. The tension escalated one fateful night amid a haze of whiskey and dim lights at a private Hollywood gathering. Hackman first mentioned the blacklist. This personal file, carefully guarded for decades, was not a work of fiction but a ledger of truth. It detailed the names of promising young directors who had suddenly vanished from the scene, not due to failure or scandal, but because an unseen force had slammed every door in front of them. In Hackman's fragmented, often coughing notes, the message was unmistakable. Clint Eastwood, with his overwhelming power, extensive connections, and untouchable image, wasn't merely a director, he was the ultimate gatekeeper. For anyone who dared to question him, Clint did not hesitate to erase their names from Hollywood's history. Within the shadowy corridors of backstage Hollywood, where flashbulbs failed to capture the real battles, Hackman's long-held silence had helped keep this cruel game alive. Even when the invisible empire of power reached out through the realm of Scientology, Hackman's record-keeping stood as a testament to the corruption lurking beneath the glittering facade. Ironically, despite the rumors and scandals, Hackman and Tom Cruze never shared the same frame in public. There were no shouting matches or press confrontations, but an unbridgeable gap of suspicion, fear, and disgust always separated them. In the 1990s, Hackman received 2 invitations for major projects that promised a new boost in his career, but after just one brief phone call, he flatly refused. The script and fee were irrelevant. It was the very name Tom Cruze topping the cast that filled him with contempt. Hackman once confided to a trusted colleague that Tom Cruze was not merely a box office star, but the most dangerous missionary kid in Hollywood. To Hackman, Cruze represented an extended arm of Scientology, a religion that he believed was engineered to control minds and consolidate power in Tinseltown. What haunted Hackman most was not the trivial rumors of secret ceremonies or bizarre doctrines of Scientology. It was the personal terror of becoming a target himself. At a private party in Malibu, surrounded by the glitterati of Hollywood, Hackman found himself clutching a glass of whiskey and blurting out with unmistakable discomfort, "Hollywood is being controlled, and we are letting a cult control everything, from who gets the roles to who simply disappears." That shocking declaration, almost drowned out by the background music and idle chatter, marked a turning point. Just days later, Hackman received a phone call that sent a chill down his spine. The voice on the other end was deep, slow, and every word cut sharply into his ear. "Be careful what you say. Hollywood has ears everywhere." More calls followed at midnight and in the early hours, each anonymous and void of direct threats, yet laden with an icy tone that forced Hackman to think of only one name: Scientology. A few months later, a source close to Hackman's former manager whispered a disturbing truth. The Scientology network was not just a religion, it was a perfect control system where every personal secret of a star was locked away, and loyalty was measured in fear. And Tom Cruze, as Hackman saw it, was not only a puppet in this system, but also its gatekeeper. No longer was Cruze the handsome young man riding a big motorcycle in Top Gun or the ambitious lawyer in the firm. He had become the living symbol of a hidden power that only those at the very center could sense. Hackman had brushed against the dangerous edge of that network, recognizing the unmistakable smell of peril, yet he was never foolish enough to step into its trap. In his final years, although Hackman rarely mentioned Tom Cruze by name, a small, crumpled piece of paper found among his notes read one chilling line: "He's not the king, he's the gatekeeper." For those who truly understood Scientology and the dark underbelly of Hollywood, that simple sentence was enough to make one's hair stand on end. Even in the most dazzling days of Hollywood, with its lavish glamour and endless parties, Hackman knew that behind every bright star lay a hidden force controlling it all. John Hackman's story took another dramatic twist when he was paired with Warren Beatty, a man who embodied the dark glamour of Hollywood. Hackman, a talented actor with a piercing gaze steadily climbing to greatness, was forced to confront the shocking duality of Beatty, the charming womanizer with a winning smile who was also an actor, director, producer, and a shadowy power broker. Their differences were stark and created an unbridgeable chasm in a world where trust was as cheap as leftover champagne. Hackman once considered Beatty one of the few genuine friends in the glittering world of Hollywood, a world where the cost of trust was measured in whispers and favors. However, that fragile trust shattered on a fateful night in 1984. At a prestigious award ceremony, hidden away in a quiet backstage corner, Hackman inadvertently overheard a conversation he was never meant to hear. Beatty stood between two men in sleek black suits, exchanging short, cold, and cryptic lines. In that charged moment, Hackman distinctly heard one of the strangers mention the name of an A-list star recently accused of inappropriate behavior during a closed audition, a name he never repeated to anyone, not even to his closest confidants. What sent shivers down his spine was Beatty's unnervingly calm demeanor. He showed no shock, no hesitation, just casually suggested, "Handle it quietly." Those three seemingly harmless words fell like a harsh sentence upon the room. After that night, Hackman left the ceremony with icy hands and an inexplicable nausea, realizing that his old friend was far more than the dashing star of Bonnie and Clyde. Beatty was, in fact, a master mediator in secret deals, a middleman in a clandestine network that protected the reputations of powerful men willing to pay any price for silence. Beatty's warm smile, sparkling eyes, and friendly handshake were nothing more than a facade masking a web of illicit bargains. Over time, Hackman began to quietly document what he knew. He maintained a secret list of names, those that Beatty had taken care of. No one knows exactly how many names were on that list, but a trusted journalist later revealed that it was far longer than anyone had ever imagined. The list included not only A-list actors, but also directors, producers, and even politicians who relied on Beatty to buy their silence. Before his final days, Hackman left behind a haunting, handwritten note scrawled on a yellowed scrap of paper. The note contained one cryptic line: "WB knew it all, and he cashed it all." For those who understood the dark backroom workings of Hollywood, this was an unspoken indictment of Beatty's secret second career. Beatty had built a parallel empire, a realm where the brightest stars and the most powerful moguls secretly traded their souls for success. As time passed, the full extent of Beatty's influence became impossible to ignore. Hackman's disdain for Beatty grew with every revelation, for he had come to understand that Beatty was not merely concealing the truth, he was actively orchestrating covert settlements between victims and powerful players. A close source revealed that although Warren Beatty never got his hands dirty himself, he always took his cut later on, avoiding any public mention of his true role. In hushed tones among industry insiders, the name The Fixer began to circulate. A mysterious figure who seemed to have his fingers in every scandal. Hackman learned that whenever an A-list star was embroiled in a serious scandal and everything appeared to be falling apart, the fixer would appear and make everything vanish as if it had never happened. In Hackman's personal files, a handwritten list in blue ink, smudged as if scrawled with trembling hands, revealed that Tom Cruze had been protected after a 2001 infidelity scandal. When a tabloid nearly published scandalous photos of a celebrity outside a luxury hotel with an unknown actress, the documents vanished overnight, and the lead investigative reporter was fired the very next morning. Rumors also swirled around Clint Eastwood, with whispers of an illicit relationship involving an underage starlet at a private Malibu party. But before the story could break wide open, the key witness mysteriously moved abroad. Meanwhile, Warren Beatty's role as a mediator in secret settlements became even more damning. Hackman would later recall that Beatty's charm, his disarming smile and friendly handshake, was his deadliest weapon, concealing a network of underhanded deals that corrupted Hollywood from the inside. The secrets Hackman uncovered in that glittering yet rotten world left him disillusioned and enraged. He saw firsthand how powerful men could buy silence and manipulate careers with a few hushed words and envelopes of cash, even though the glitz of the red carpet and the applause of adoring fans painted a picture of success. Hackman knew that behind every radiant face lay a darker reality of exploitation and betrayal. In this treacherous game of shadows, every deal was a gamble with someone's future, and Beatty was the master of that high-stakes play. Hackman's record of these sordid details collected over years would one day serve as a testament to the corruption hidden behind Hollywood's glittering facade. Even as he grew older, Hackman's eyes shone with a mixture of helplessness, regret, and the bitter taste of truth that he could no longer ignore. Among Hollywood's immortal icons, Marlon Brando shone like a solitary beacon, radiant yet deeply isolated. Yet to Gene Hackman, Brando's legendary light was forever tainted by a tragic darkness. Brando was not merely an acting legend. He was the vivid emblem of Hollywood's sinister underbelly, a genius who knew every secret but chose a haunting silence. In a rare private recollection from 1973, Hackman described an unforgettable rooftop party held in an old hotel where only the elite were invited. That night, as Hackman trailed a producer in search of new opportunities, he witnessed an underground stage where fresh, hopeful actors were coerced into compromising situations before they even had a chance to shine. Marlon Brando, already an icon, stood quietly in a dark corner with a whiskey glass gently swirling in his hand. His eyes were weary yet unshaken. He neither smiled nor intervened. He was the silent witness to the corruption unfolding before him. That night changed Hackman's view of Brando forever. To him, Brando became not the adored genius on screen, but a man who, in real life, had turned his back on the grim realities of Hollywood to protect his own halo. Despite the layers of corruption and hidden agendas, Hackman did not crave accolades or fame. He was driven by one burning need: to expose the brutal truth, even if it tore apart the glittering illusions of Hollywood. In the final moments of his life, he chose to tear down the velvet curtain concealing Hollywood's darkest secrets. He chose to speak out, knowing full well that the truth would bring pain, hurt those he loved, and shatter long-held illusions. But only truth could. Liberate people from the chains of lies.